Today we dey spotlight Madam Oki, a Sierra Leonean fashion brand wey don dey operate for plenty years now. As part of the private sector, Madam Oki don dey contribute.
Business not to for just make money. Now the engine where they push the economy go before. From that businessman who will make them for sales to that entrepreneur where they do massive innovation, where they shape the country in future. Kushe and Cabo Cabo now the big market. Also where they talk about business and how for make business go and change real life. Every week, we get for the talk about the things that where they happen at the market, things that like waiting government they do, and how in they affect price, profits, and other things there, and we own safe life. Small business or big business or manufacturer or investor or farmer or all get for the inside the big market talk. So sit down, open ears, listen, and join we participate every Tuesday, 5 p.m. na True Talk Radio 98.5 FM. Also, we dey build strong business for strong country. Business not to for just make money. Now the engine where they push the economy go before. From that businessman who will make them for sales to that entrepreneur where they do massive innovation, where they shape the country in future. Kushe and Cabo Cabo now the big market. Also where they talk about business and how for make business go and change real life. Every week, we get for the talk about the things that where they happen at the market, things that like waiting government they do, and how in they affect price, profits, and other things there, and we own safe life. Small business or big business or manufacturer or investor or farmer or all get for the inside the big market talk. So sit down, open ears, listen, and join we participate every Tuesday, 5 p.m. na True Talk Radio 98.5 FM. Also, we dey build strong business for strong country.
Fambulem, Onadu and Cabo, welcome to this week edition of the Big Market Show. Today we want to talk about a very important topic. A topic where they affect every aspect of a country in development one. Today we want to talk about public procurement and which role the private sector can play for make government not losses by public procurement. I don't know if you are aware, say IGR over the past 2 weeks, over the past 2 months, don't they look into contracts and procurement contracts them, and don't they see some patterns, some system where they bring a loss to the government and to the country. And of course, government they do business without the private sector and the private sector involved. So today we want to talk about how we can make public procurement that waiting government they buy very transparent and inclusive, and how we can get private businessmen, the way they will call private sector, for help para work, para thing they for make public procurement inclusive and transparent. And also waiting then go able do so that government no go losses, the country no go losses. As usual, me they bring the program Canton. I'm Melvin Forey, and I expect a guest who will join me for can talk about this issue. But first, let's take a quick break. And as usual also, let's do a spotlight. A spotlight now opportunity for talk and talk to a businessman or businesswoman who they do a business in salon and talk about how it thrive for making business grow. So let we go for a short break.
Business not to for just make money. Now the engine where they push the economy go before. From that businessman who will make them for sales to that entrepreneur where they do massive innovation, where they shape the country in future. Kushe and Cabo Cabo now the big market. Also where they talk about business and how for make business go and change real life. Every week, we get for the talk about the things that where they happen at the market, things that like waiting government they do, and how in they affect price, profits, and other things there, and we own safe life. Small business or big business or manufacturer or investor or farmer or all get for day inside the big market talk. So sit down, open ears, listen and join we participate every Tuesday 5 p.m. na True Talk Radio 98.5 FM. Also with the build strong business for strong country.
Today we the spotlight Madam Woki, a Sierra Leonean fashion brand we don't operate for plenty years now. As part of the private sector, Madam Woki don't contribute for empower communities, bring innovation, and same way so boost the country economy. We kaya today for no more but in work, how government don't support them, and waiting at some of the challenges we don't face as a private sector enterprise.
So my name is Marianne Kaikai. I'm the creative director and CEO of the fashion brand Madam Woki. The name Madam Woki be inspired by me great grandauntie. We I be paramount chief from a chiefdom called Lama Masakori, and she was, and I be the only female ruling. We're not the only female family we get a crown. So I've been very inspired by a strong woman at the family, and of course they made me granny, and it not me get any picking. So anybody we get in favorite girl picking the name I'm okay. So at the time when I decided say I want to set up my business, I decided say I the name I'm after that strong woman. We in be an inspiration in my life. Well, over the last 4 years, Madam Woki embarked on a skills training program. We will decide to want to empower 10,000 women across the country. And over the last 4 years, we don't train about 3,080 women. As a matter of fact, this weekend we get 8 women already graduate from the skills training program in tie-dye and batik in partnership with Partners in Health. So I think for me, the empowerment of women, they are the heart of what Madam Woki they do. It's not just about we get knowledge, we keep until we save. We think it's very important for now we empower and inspire the next generation of women that really come up. So that is definitely one of the things that I'm very proud of. Also, representing Sierra Leone at international stage, especially with international fashion shows, because most times people then get this negative idea about Sierra Leone or the country that we've been getting away with war, or the country we get a mudslide. So being able to represent Sierra Leone at an international stage, showcasing our fashion, showcasing our designs, and then just changing the narrative or the idea of it people get about salon. I think that's something we'll be very proud of. I think there's some of the challenges that we will talk about. I think we they face. I think it's across the board. Sometimes sales are good, sometimes sales aren't good, depending on people in spending power, the country or the world. Right now we all know there's inflation taking part in different side of the world, not just in Africa, even in Europe. Like people are very careful in terms of how they spend money. So they're telling the issue we get, whether they get an increase in sales. But again, it doesn't just affect Madam Woki, they affect all manner course. Of course, the discipline as well in terms of, with the people that we work for, we constantly get for provide mentorship and skills training for them in terms of how for deal with customers, how to engage with customer relationship and stuff. That again may be a small challenge, but it's not the biggest challenge. Access to capital or finance, because the work they do it's very capital intensive. You constantly get for need money for source new fabrics, for source new designs. You're always thinking of expansion or what's next. So access to capital is also, and funding is also another small issue. Back in the days we used to complain about electricity. I would start today for talk. I would say it hasn't been bad over the last couple of months. So that's why we tell the government thank you so much for that. At least we know they get a blackout, because back in the days, we been get electricity issues. So you constantly get for one generators. Of course, the cost is quite high, but at least that it will reduce small bit. The tax is an issue, but the reality is not telling. Like no country, no they not the world, we know they pay tax. For me, I think as a fashion brand, one of the things that I constantly do, I'm not dey pay too much attention on the challenges. With every challenge really come, I try to face it head on. I always dey think outside the box. I never try to focus on the negative or the issues that are happening. I always focus on the positive. So I will tell you, say during the COVID pandemic, nobody don't remember for open tailor shop. In my mind, I dey look and say, okay, we have a health crisis. How can we use fashion to bring about change? A lot of tailors them across the country were financially handicapped during the COVID pandemic, and we put a challenge out to one for produce 100,000 face masks. I didn't have enough tailors the way before produce that. I hired 100 tailors across the Freetown municipality. So that working at me kitchen, that working at me bathroom, that working at me garage, and within the shortest possible, that working at me shop, that working at the changing room, within the shortest possible time, we be able to produce 100,000 face masks where everybody been thinking impossible. So if you don't live in a salon, you want no life. Stay every day in our challenge, especially when you get up in the morning. So for me, I never focus on the negative. I try my best to focus on the positive. That way I'm able to have a clear mind, and whatever challenge presents itself, I try for fight and heads on. So I have a team. There's division of labor. All man get what you do. We get staff them way now full-time staff. We get staff them way now contract staff them. So for example, with a lot of the skills training we now then we don't focus but for the last 4 years, we get people already in a different parts of the country, where they provide with training them. So yeah. So one thing I would say, we have had a bit of support when we start the skills training. So for example, over the last 4 years, we don't collaborate with like a different government institutions them, as well as donor partners. So for example, when we start the skills training program, under a program called SLEDEP, we work with Ministry of Tourism and the Sierra Leone Economic Diversification Fund, and we train. We hire for 250 women. There's a lot of demand, people wanting to learn a skill. We end up portraying 80. Something like that for be possible without collaboration. So that in our one support we don't get. Again, we also don't collaborate with Ministry of Tertiary Education under SDF. We offer the same thing as well, which is skills training. We end up portraying about 250 women. So we have had those type of support. I think so for me now, the most important thing is expansion. It's not just about working in a small space. It's all about how we able to collaborate and bring other people on board. Like the things that they really look at, especially within the next 2 to 5 years, is how do we open one of the biggest factories in Sierra Leone. We're not just dedicated to tailoring or sewing, but also even textile manufacturing. So those are the things that we're looking at. How do we also collaborate, within different countries? So, for example, the what we done do for the past 4 years, Liberia don't invite you for we start a similar type of skills training program. So, for me, what I'm looking at is how do we collaborate across different countries? How do 2 different countries come together to work on a project where we get a lot of intertrade really happen. So how do we get 2 different countries to collaborate, be able to share some of your skill, and then we get now, so how we able to learn from them in terms of the expertise, whether maybe something they get good tailors them or they get good pattern cutters. Those are things that I'm looking at. How do we also have a factory where, for example, all the young creatives that really come up, we're able to set up a space where, for example, which is almost like a selling point or selling hub where, for example, they're able for like a rent a space at an affordable cost where they're able for like a selling product. Those are things that I'm looking at, because so we were very big on not just skills training but also empowering the next generation of creatives that are coming up, because I'm not getting any younger. We get young people that really come up with fresh ideas. I was very lucky in the sense that I had very strong role models who really believe what we say they do, and then support the idea, they support my vision. Other young people are not get that. So for me, in terms of being a fashion designer, being a fashion house, those are areas that we're looking at. Well, one thing I would say, you got for land for take risk. If we know to be risk taker and not for be able to achieve and do everything we are set out for do for myself. That in a one. Secondly, the other advice I will give na that you get for invest by yourself. You get for then at that point where you don't invest by yourself and people see you and they're like, okay, this person has to know taking business from point A to point C. How we capable for taking for move from point C to point F and G. Everything it's all about baby step. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen one day go. Sometimes and then the other thing I would say now, there's even much better exposure, especially through social media. So make you always tell people and say you have a huge following on social media. What are you doing with that following? How are you impacting people's lives? How are you getting people to be interested in what you do? So for me, the options are there. Number one, you therefore be willing for take the risk. If you not take the risk, if you know dare yourself or do something different, therefore happen. Number two, you therefore be willing for invest by yourself. If you not invest by yourself, how you therefore get to that people for they invest by which you do. You therefore believe by yourself first. Pour money into into an idea where you believe say therefore be very successful before people and say okay yes one for join you. Thirdly, I think say we have social media platforms. There's Facebook, there's TikTok, there's Instagram. There's so many coming up. So the one thing I will say, use their platform maybe for market yourself, for market you product, because most people are very big on storytelling. A lot of the people that we don't support with business over the last 4 years, especially in the diaspora. One thing I would tell you now that the story of the woman with their lives that will impact. The story of the woman and what they say. Sometimes if somebody not get money, I get people and they save money for up to a year. They're like one for buy a Madam Moki piece because of the woman they way the impact, because of the woman the way their life they change. So I think sometimes it's never gonna be perfect. Just put the raw, unfiltered content out there because that is what people are interested in. And again, it's not about the numbers because most people when they start up, then they look at somebody else. Oh, this person get 100,000 following, this person get 500,000 following. For me, I can always talk say the minute you begin compare yourself to somebody else, then you begin hinder your progress. Just focus on yourself. Just focus on your growth. Focus on who side you see yourself in the next 1 year. Give yourself a 1 year goal. Give yourself a 3 year goal. Give yourself a 5 year goal, and just work towards that. It's just baby steps. It is gonna happen, but you get for believe by yourself and you get for invest by yourself when it happen.
Business not for just make money. Now the engine where they push the economy go before. From that businessman who are make them for sales to that entrepreneur where they do massive innovation where they shape the country in future. Kushe and Cabo now the big market. Also where they talk about business and how for make business go and change real life. Every week